Jay.
My man Tay.
Oh yeah.
Bless it.
So first things first, how you been living, man? What's been going on with you?
Man, just, grinding,
Most
working,
definitely,
trying to
most
steer
definitely.
clear, we're trying to.
And that's always the way to go and a good look. You got to keep the grind strong. You got to keep the work in. You got to,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you got to put one and one and always make it two.
Gotta add up, man.
Yeah,
Grind
man.
free is the way to be.
So, with that being said, through the work and through the grind, what type things have been maybe hindering the grind or something on the mind or on the brain, anything like that? Where we at with this today?
Man, I think the topic of discussion today, we need to talk about bitter baby mama.
Bitter baby mamas. I guess a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people know that story. I
gotta hit the Carlos on that one.
That's a story that could be the same story for a lot of us gentlemen.
For a lot of us.
And so, what's your story?
You know what, man? My story is 2012. I had a son. A great blessing. I think where my mistake was, I wanted better for the person I was involved with, more than what they wanted for themselves. And that kept me, I believe, in there a little too long.
They kept you in it too long, you stayed too long.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yeah,
a little bit of both.
I most definitely can relate.
Yeah, and sometimes you gotta know when to throw the towel in for your own self. You gotta feel like, damn, am I making the right decisions here? Is this something that's conducive to my future self?
Yeah. But I say once you get that far, it's throwing in the towel the proper thing to do. Or should you keep trying? Like they say, you shouldn't give up, or you shouldn't stop, or this is a work. This is a masterpiece. Of course, a masterpiece takes time. Work takes time. So it's like, have you ever felt like you gave up too early?
You know what? Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I've been in prior relationships like that. With the topic of the discussion, though, I gave that plenty of time, bro. I gave that time.
Completely.
I did. You don't want to give up. I feel like as a man, especially me being a conscious man, I didn't want to give up on my family.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's a lot of us. Definitely a man. When we're speaking of men and not boys, no man wants to give up on his family, but it's also another story when I can't say the family per se, but when the instructor of the family gives up on you, you have to want this just like I do. It can't be one-sided.
Absolutely.
It's got to be a double party. You know what I mean? So
take when it to church.
When it gets to a point to where it's only you. The last thing anybody wants to feel like, man or woman or anybody in the situation wants to feel like is not needed or not needed. Let me change it. You don't want me to feel like I don't need you. You don't want me to feel like, what are you here for? Definitely when growing up, we seen women that did everything. We was raised by a lot of us came up with single mothers, and women did everything. Us being adults as men, and we doing everything, and it's like, okay, damn, I paid that rent. I paid the lights down. I paid the gas down. I paid the water out. Damn, we ain't even had no sex. Hold on. Remind me why I need you.
Real talk. Where's the balance in the relationship?
Yeah. You need that balance.
That balance is key, man. That balance is key. And that's why I feel like sometimes, I didn't realize that soon enough.
You need that reciprocation.
Gotta have it.
I think the problem too is, as a lot of us growing up with no men around and no men in the home, we try to be the best man around and the best man in the home. And we forget that we don't got nothing to reciprocate that. We ain't got nothing to match that. We ain't got nothing to keep that going. We ain't got nothing to keep that afloat. Like it's just you.
Real talk.
And you realize you tired. And then she get mad when you go to sleep. You don't realize why I'm tired? You ain't even eating nothing today. Oh shit, you didn't do nothing yesterday. Oh shit. Should I remind you of what I've been doing? Because you've been watching me.
Dog.
And the worst part about you watching me is you ain't even put in a motherfucking hand.
You know what? I mean, I'll say this to the fellas. 2012, when I found out that she was pregnant. You know, 2011.
Which is always a blessing.
2012, it's a blessing, man.
Yeah,
you know,
always a blessing.
I knew I had to step it up. You know, do my motherfucking thing. I got into truck driving. I felt like, you know, that was something that could be, you know, a foundation setter as far as a good career.
You did that as a family man, you got in truck driving, so that wasn't state to state, that was citywide or what?
I was doing more local, regionals type of stuff for Walmart.
Most
you know, yeah.
Say, you know, a truck driver is not a family-oriented job, if you ask me. You know,
not at all.
Not ones that across the state, country, country. You don't want no family, my nigga, because
OTR can be hard trying to have a family, real talk.
Most definitely.
And to get in on what this brother's saying, that sacrifice was made being a truck driver. You know, being a truck driver, I was putting in 70-hour weeks. Woo. And it's crazy to me because the baby mama felt like I wasn't putting in enough time at home.
Yeah.
So see, we gotta also, I don't know, that balance is key, man, and that made it a struggle too.
Another thing where we struggle at, and where it's not even balance is key, like they always say, communication. People do have to chime in on communication, because sometimes if you verbalize the issue, it can be fixed. The problem is we expect certain things. Mm-hmm. I expect you to do this, you expect me to do that, but we never sat down and talked about this. This motherfucker did this wrong, and instead of you telling him, you got an attitude and you sat there quiet like, I don't want to say nothing because it's going to explode. Well, no, you're supposed to say something because when it does explode, it's going to blow all the way the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Because you held it in when you wasn't supposed to hold that in. You were supposed to communicate. This is how y'all grow. This is how y'all make each other better, by communication. Absolutely. Because with no communication, all y'all doing is letting that chain break. It's like this. Here's a chain, and is that no communication? Y'all pulling. So when you pulling that way and she pulling this way, eventually that motherfucking chain gonna break.
It's gonna break.
And now y'all separated. And that's what happens with that chain. It breaks and y'all separated. And communication does keep them links together.
You gotta have it. I feel like it's the foundation to any strong relationship. Whether that be with the partner, spouse, friend, cousin, brother, whatever,
mother, whoever.
God, like, man,
you gotta talk about these things. It's a lot of things that just need to be. We need to sit down and we need to talk.
Real talk.
And we need to conversate. And you need to hear me just like I need to hear you. And behind communication, the next step is understanding. Because you can communicate with a motherfucker all day, all night, all year, but if they don't understand, it was pointless. And it didn't go nowhere. And they didn't understand. And they didn't get it. And then they might feel like you was bashing them or belittling them. Well, no, I was trying to communicate with you, baby. I tried to tell you something. I tried to hip you. I tried to put you up on game. Hear me, feel me, and reciprocate. And we could have went so many places and got so far, and so many things could have been different.
You know what, bro? I need to put that in my notes. Communication, 1. Number 2 is understanding.
Number 2 is most definitely
understanding. 2.
Yeah.
You know, people, these are things that we really got to make sure we honing in on if we want successful relationships.
It's dope that you just took notes to that, because that's something that people, humans, us, we need to take notes to. We need to realize, we need to tone in and key into it. Like I said, first step, communication. Second step, understanding. And that'll make the relationship last longer. Even when you feel like it was dead, see, because the whole time you feeling like it's dead, she just wanted you to try, but y'all didn't communicate, so she didn't tell you to try. And you didn't tell her you felt it was dead or why. And that's why communication rolls a long fucking way.
It's key.
Even with a friend, you know, you might feel like your homie hating on you. But he ain't hating on you, he just didn't know how to do things the way you wanted things done. You didn't know how to congratulate the way that you wanted to be congratulated. So you feel like he hated. He ain't know how to give you a high five and slap your hand and say, good job. He just was like, damn, okay. He sometimes, you know, these motherfuckers that ain't on our level, when they see us do things that are above them taking a mental note almost looks like they're hating their face, because the way they're processing, the way they're thinking. So you gotta take heed to the fact that he just processed what just happened. He didn't hate, but his face looked like he just hated like a motherfucker.
Man.
And communication
gotta have it.
Is what breaks that barrier.
Where's the understanding at?
Exactly.
You know, where is it?
Exactly.
You know, that's my question.
You can't understand without communication, which is why communication is one, understanding is two.
Yeah.
And it's just like sometimes, even within communication, without communicating with the right people, persons, or things, they still won't understand. So, and it's also the way that you communicate, because, you know what I mean, as men, definitely dominant men, or just as people, we can come off wrong. And this doesn't mean that the person that we're talking to will understand what we're saying. So it's still it's still the delivery. You got to come right. You got to approach right. You got to deliver this right. Because people ain't gonna always catch what you're saying. Sometimes you got to deliver this more than once. You got to deliver it in more than one way. Some people think it's only one way to do things, you know. But 6 + 4 is 10. So it's 3 + 7. You know, so it's 5 + 5. That's 3 different ways to get the same answer. Don't always think your one answer is the only way. Listen to a motherfucker when they talking to you and get the other side of the story and the other answer, because it's more than just the one you came up with.
Real talk. If you have a problem with listening, then go ahead and try to. What are ways we can influence people to listen better? Because listening is a skill, people. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that when it comes to communication.
I don't even know where to go with that. That is a hell of a question. What is the way to get people to listen?
Man, to really understand, to listen.
That's a tough one.
Man.
We
taking them to church.
I'm almost stuck on that one. How do you get somebody to listen?
The right way, you know, to have that ear.
Listen. This is. I mean, for one, depends on who you're talking to and who you're dealing with, and the aggression in your voice and
shit, bro. I'm talking about bitter baby mamas.
I mean,
I'm gonna get a bitter baby mama to listen.
I mean, for one, if she's a bitter baby mama, she most likely won't listen because she's already bitter. So where I was at was the necessary steps that you take prior to her being bitter.
Okay.
And you know, one thing that I, you know, talk to a lot of the men that I speak to as well, sometimes, I mean, look in that mirror. Sometimes our bitterness came from yourself as well. As much as we want to say we was good, we did right, this, that, nah, we were fucking up too.
Yeah, man.
You know, and a lot of times you gotta look in that mirror and you gotta take heed to everything that you did prior to her being bitter. Because if she was bitter from the start, y'all wouldn't have made it where y'all made it, and she would have never became a baby mama. So she wasn't a bitter baby mama before she was a bitter baby mama. You know what I mean? So it's still, you got to look in that mirror and reflect on self as well. Like, how did we get here? And that's what revolves back to the main thing that I already said, communication. Because if y'all would have communicated, you would know what made her a bitter baby mama. Because she wasn't no bitter baby mama when you got that little sweet piece of porcelain and that baby came out. You know what I mean?
It was all good.
It was all good just a week ago.
Man.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to look at self, take heed to self, take notes, conversate with yourself. Another thing that a lot of people, not just men, not just women, a lot of people need to take heed to the fact that be what you want. If you be the person that you want, and that person reciprocates, they can't let you down. The problem is a lot of people want something that they don't give or that they can't offer. You can't ask me for something that you can't do for me. But if I ask you for something, I'm gonna put that on the line.
Yeah, that's the sign of a good leader. That's a true leader right there. You can't send nobody out into the battlefield if you can't fight that battle yourself.
Exactly.
That's real talk.
Exactly.
That's real talk. So that sacrifice is a motherfucker, man. You know what? You answered my question, bro, really about listening. And I want to get to the third part that I think will really help people listen, is to set that pride aside, and self-reflection is a must. Like Bro Tay said, Tay the King, man, you're blessing them. Because for real, you gotta get in that mirror. You gotta reflect on self, man. That self-reflection. In order to evolve.
Listen, self-reflection can make things go a different direction. Self-reflection can make things go a different direction. Man, don't always look at this person and see everything that they do wrong and call them the bad person and the bad guy. Once again, like I said, before this motherfucker was the bad guy, I was in love.
It was all good.
You know what I mean?
Just a week ago.
It's all good. Just a week ago. Before she was a bitter baby mama, that was your bitch.
Man, why she go better?
You know what I mean? So it went. So still, just like, like I said, communication goes a long way.
It does.
And when you're talking about these things, these certain things that need to be talked about and communicated about, you know, then once again, I can get that understanding. And so why it's like the key question was, how do we even get a bitter baby mama? And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes the answer to that key question is, what did you do to her? What made her bitter?
Yeah. What was it that took her over that line?
I mean, unless she was a one-night stand and you ain't know her, y'all just did what y'all did and the baby popped out. No, it was something on both sides of this fence that made this happen. So now it's on you to still, like I said, you gotta self-reflect. Okay. You gotta holler at yourself and say, damn, nigga, what did you do? Yeah. Hold on, was you always a good nigga?
Real talk.
I mean, it's one thing to be a good nigga now. But was you a good nigga when you made her bitter?
Real talk.
You couldn't have been fucked up for all this time and then decide to be good. Now you mad because she bitter because she really still love you enough to fuck with you, but ain't over the shit that you was already doing.
Real talk. Real talk.
Sometimes it's like that, man.
Real talk, bro.
So I would say, just me, I would just say, communicate a little more. Yeah. Talk about it a little more. Get a little more into it. Understand each other more. This is two people should understand each other. And when I say understand each other, two people should understand each other on ultimate levels. And ultimate levels is like, you know, this is when you're at an 80 to 100% on understanding each other. One and other. Like, it's like in the morning for breakfast. She know what you want, you know what she wants. Y'all should never have to argue about what we eat. You know what I mean? Do y'all know each other? Do y'all really love each other?
Do you have that foundation, that communication?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's try to clean it up, people. You know, because that's totally true, man. The bitterness, you got to figure out where the fuck it came from.
Where it came from.
Diagnose that shit. Yeah. And then try to fix it. Because evolution is a must, man. You know,
and before you can fix somebody else, you gotta fix yourself. Which is why looking at mirror is key. Yeah. If you ain't right, you can't expect nobody else to be right.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. Gotta have that shit together.
Got to. Most definitely. Most definitely.
So as far as the bitterness that, you know, we do receive from that energy, all I can say, fellas, is try to make sure that you communicate. Try to make sure you set your pride aside. Try to make sure that there's an understanding. If you can't even get, you know, sometimes we're dealing with bitter situations and you might need to get an outside party, maybe a counselor. You can go to Blue Parkway, behavioral health. They do like behavioral counseling there. These are things within the black community I feel like are understated. You know, we don't deal with mental health enough.
Definitely not.
And these are things that I know can make us better and evolve. Cause man, it's, you know, we just seen it with the pandemic, man.
And you need, a lot of us need the understanding.
God, man,
I mean, that ain't just relationships. That's at work. You know. Yeah. You go to work, you hear when your coworkers say what they will and won't do, and it's like, no, you got a job, man. Do your fucking job.
Do your job.
The same thing in relationship. Listen, you have a job.
Do your job.
Keep your partner happy.
Do your job.
Do your fucking job. You know what I mean?
Toast to that one.
Yeah.
For real, do your job, man. You know, you got to stay motivated about it. Like my brother Rich would say, keep your first day spunk. And just always, you know, self-reflect. Be the best version of yourself. Try to be everyday shit. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with some bitter ass energy.
Yeah. And that right there, that was a segment. Teddy King.
Jamel Justice, you better know it.
Justice, and we just spoke about bitterness, communication, and understanding. Tune in for the next one. We got more coming.